My event is starting. And we're live. Oh, that's not what we're on. Dang it. Oh well. I still gotta make a thingy.
From the Time Spent Poorly podcast studio in the Lewiston-Clarkson Valley in Idaho, you're listening to the Rosewater Kinetics Fitness Hour with weekly discussions on nutrition.
Mainly consist on stuff like sandwiches and tins of tuna, chicken, something like that, cheese grater's from a chain store.
Training.
Just like a bunch of little girls. Again.
Also including phone interviews.
Hello, everyone. I'm from your telephone company.
Poignant conversation. And international liaisons.
Oh my.
And here are your hosts, Mike and Nathan.
Welcome! It is the Rosewater Kinetics Fitness Hour. You've got Mike and Nathan, and I've got a special guest this week too. Well, I don't just have a special guest. We have a special guest, Mike. My little sister, who's not so little. She's several years older than I am, but she's here. My sister, Vicky Dirksen, she's here all the way over there. Say hello, Vicky.
Howdy.
And say hello, Mike.
Hello, Mike.
And this is where you can find discussions on whatever we decide to talk about, which this week I think we're going to focus on nutrition because every time I have a nutritional question, I ring up my sister and say, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? And we'll end up talking for like 45 minutes about something that we'll land on something that we didn't even start off on. But yeah, every time we have something to discuss, I call up my sister. So we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition this week, Mike.
And and being a fitness program and the business that we're in, as far as training goes, one of the eating habits that seems to be a predominant eating habit in this area is the paleo diet.
Yeah.
I know a lot of you out there are trying to practice that. Some of you pretty stringently, others not so much.
I just read a little bit about this recently, and it sounds good, but I think there's some things that sound pretty tough about it as well, as far as like, well, obviously you don't get to eat anything that is remotely quote unquote fun. There's really no snack foods in the paleo diet.
It's a lot of fun eating dead stuff.
Oh yeah.
Dead stuff is where you kind of want to focus. But
the
the question I guess is to paleo or not to paleo.
Right.
And depending on what it is you're trying to accomplish, what type of benefit it has for you.
All right, and I forgot to throw out our plugs. You can find me at Nathan L. Betts on the Twitter. You can find him at RK Clubs on the Twitter. You can't find her on the Twitter because she doesn't care about it, or Facebook for that matter. But we also have a Rosewater Kinetics Facebook page, so go to facebook.com/Rosewater Kinetics. You can find that there. You can also get a hold of us by contacting us on the email address rkfitnesshour@gmail.com. Also, you can, if you want to order something from us as far as clubs go, do Rosewater Furniture at hotmail.com. It's hard to keep all of those straight in my head. So those are the plugs for the beginning, and I'll throw those out at the end one more time. So, sister, paleo diet. What's your thoughts on the paleo diet? How do you think that's working out? You were talking about that a little bit before we got started. You said a little bit of good, a little bit of bad.
I think there's a lot of benefits to it, but I think people really need to understand what the purpose is for. Mike just mentioned a little bit about that. Why are you doing it? I think that we live in a day where dairy and grain have become a huge health detraction for people.
I think so too.
And if people could really understand how much grain and dairy are making them sick, paleo doesn't seem so difficult anymore. And then you understand what it is you're doing. You're not depriving yourself of something. You are trying to get better.
Right. So for the people that might still be under a rock, what exactly are the main tent poles of a paleo diet? Mostly, it's mostly food that our ancestors would have eaten, correct? That's kind of the idea.
Food.
Yeah.
It's stuff that hasn't been technologically developed in a secret lab that no one can ever go in and see.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever read Omnivore's Dilemma. He tried to get into some of these, like General Mills and stuff like that.
Won't let them in, huh?
Yeah, because
Yeah, they don't want you to
they're
see that
scientific
stuff.
laboratories.
Yeah.
That's high-tech, top secret
Well,
formulas. So.
you know, let's call an ace here. They're a conglomerate. They're big business, and their major focus is on making money. They're not there to make nutritious food that is going to nourish your body. They want something that tastes good that you're going to go to the grocery store and buy, and that's why they position it the way they do on the shelf.
And that's why there's the colors on the packaging, the font that they use down to the size of it, all of it. It's all been scientifically researched for you to spend that $3.86 on it.
Quick little
500
observation I
times.
made about, it's been a good 4 months ago now. When I was a kid, and I guess when we were all kids, we ate a lot of cereal, right? Because it was quick, it was easy. Mom would pour a bowl full of that and send you off to school. And I thought to myself, you know what I haven't had in ages is Fruit Loops.
Ew.
And I found out, and I decided for myself that Fruit Loops doesn't taste like fruit.
No. Did you know that
And I pulled each color out and tried to identify. No.
Did you know that they actually came out and admitted that every single one of those are all the same flavor, just colored differently?
They taste that way.
Yeah.
I would buy that. Well, I didn't finish the box.
Yeah.
I had probably about 3/4 of a bowl of it and went, I can't eat any more of it.
Yeah, it's sugar-coated.
It's candy.
Yeah, sugar-coated wheat product.
Wheat candy.
For
Yeah.
sure.
So there's something that I wanted to get into a little bit about on the specific topic of wheat, but I'm going to save that for another time because I know once me and my sister and Mike, once we all get to chit-chatting, it's all going to go very, very quickly. The hour will go by very quickly. But one of these days, very soon, I have an entire article with scientific research to back it up and everything. And you can do your own research yourself out there. Obviously, don't go to Wikipedia because that's not a great place to go find your information. But anything that's some sort of
Library.
go to the library. Something that
They
has
still have those?
scientific fact to back it up. Just do some research for yourself on the topic of wheat and where it comes from and what exactly is wheat in 2014, because 2014 wheat is not 1914 wheat. It is the stuff that our great grandparents ate. It is been it's not been necessarily genetically modified, but it's been cross-pollinated and rebred with itself. And I don't know if you can do inbreeding in the plant kingdom, but if that's a thing, then that's what's happened, because there's actually more chromosomes in this wheat now than we used to have, and it's just been bred to produce high volumes, but it is not good for us.
Well, here's a little factoid too. We happen to live in a wheat production area.
Oh yeah.
There's wheat all around us,
Mm-hmm.
and you hear about the pesticides and the GMOs
And the herbicides and
and
the,
all of these things.
yeah.
Well, there's a new thing rearing its ugly head that they are suggesting might be responsible for this whole colony collapse thing with the bees.
Yeah.
And what they do now is they sell the seed, because they'll, for those that don't know, that they'll harvest this crop, bring it in, and of course they got to replant the field.
Sure.
So once everything's brought in, they take X amount of this wheat and they use it as seed wheat. They send it in, and they coat it with this red substance, and I mean, I'd be happy to get film of it and bring it in and literally show it to you. And it's called a systemic. They plant these seeds, and the plant ingests the pesticide
Oh, good.
into the leaves of the plant itself. So when the insect starts to bite into the plant,
They don't want
it
it.
dies. Now, this is a neurotoxin.
Sure.
Come on, folks. Science be damned. Use your common sense.
That's
If
going
it's
into your body.
killing the bug, man, it
Yeah.
doesn't magically disappear when it hits your plate.
No, it does not.
I can
You don't-
promise you this goes through no cleansing process.
Well, and the very unique opportunity that we have right now is Mike lives, I am not kidding you, 15 feet away from where this stuff comes in by the truckload. And his entire house is coated in a nice, I'm sorry, it looks slightly pink. His whole house is coated in pink
Well,
dust.
it depends on which time of the year.
Yeah,
and
right
usually
now it's coated in pink dust.
Yeah, and I get pissed.
Uh-huh.
Time for a detox there. Huh?
Yeah, well, it's like, what do you people do?
Yeah, so he's got a grain grower tower right in his backyard, like the space of an alley. So it's his backyard, an alley, and then this big thing, and it's huge. It's right in his backyard. So.
I have to say that they are curbing that pretty good.
Are they?
I think it's from pressure that I've actually put on them. That they're
They
putting
need
in, dust
collectors and whatnot.
They don't like it because it's expensive.
Oh yeah.
But so there's lawsuits. So you got to kind of weigh one with the other. And,
Sure.
Sure. Regardless, anyways.
So back to the paleo. We got a little tangent-y there for a second, but
that happens on this show from time to time.
We're good at it. By the way, we can chat about a lot of things and all at once. So the paleo diet, is it seems to be kind of like a buzzword, and all you have to do is drop that, and then if you're at a party, I kind of call it like a conversation bomb. Basically, you just say paleo diet, those two words together, and walk away and just cross your hands and watch the carnage happen. But it kind of seems to be like this weird buzzword these days, but for all intents and purposes, it does have its uses, correct?
Absolutely. But, the way I look at things, I'm really not into fad stuff. Fad diets and
crash diets.
They used to say that you shouldn't eat an egg,
Yeah.
But then when I was a little kid, there was the commercial.
Incredible edible egg. Yeah.
So the way I really look at food is, if it's something you couldn't have eaten 200 years ago, don't eat it.
Yeah.
If you can't grow it out of the ground yourself or raise that animal for yourself, don't eat it.
Yeah.
So that kind of eliminates a whole lot of food out of the grocery store.
Sure.
Yeah, Nathan came up with a good one last week when he says, well, if it comes in a box,
don't eat
package, probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
Now, that's not 100% true because it just depends. They package stuff that really doesn't need packaging sometimes.
Sure.
But as a rule of thumb, that's probably a pretty good way to go.
But then what about going and picking something like maybe canned tomatoes or your olive oil? It's got one ingredient.
Yeah. But
and it doesn't have preservatives and all of this other.
It still depends on what the one ingredient.
Yeah, but you got to be a label reader.
Yeah.
Absolutely. For sure.
It took me the longest time to get to that point, and now I can't help it. It takes me forever to shop,
My kids do it.
Boy, that looks good, and you pick it up and you flip it over and you go, and on the front, natural, and, all these wonderful little buzz phrases. You flip it over, and sodium glutamate and
citric acid.
And there's a list this long of things that you have to have glasses to read.
Yeah.
And it's like, just.
So we were at Silverwood last week, and my nieces had brought these little, I think it was juicy juice boxes, and the front of it says 100% juice. And my husband looks at it and he says, wow, for 100% juice, there's a lot of ingredients in there. So I'm looking at it, and I said, how come it says phosphates? And I don't remember what else is in there. And I said, how can they put 100% juice on the front of it when it has all these other ingredients in there?
Well, because you're allowed to go to 115% now. I didn't know if you knew that or not, but that's a joke I just made up off the top of my head right now.
You kind of bowled me over.
Yeah, so don't trust what it says on the front of the package.
Yeah,
you got
flip it over.
Maybe there's 100% juice. They fill it up with 100% juice and then go, okay, now we got to put stuff in there.
Yeah, now
I'm going bad on the shelf.
That's right. So pick up your labels, folks, is a big thing. Mm-hmm. If you flip that thing over and it says if there's citric acid in it, if there's any sort of phosphate, if there's any sort of disodium, monoglodium, whatever, then you're not going to want it. You're not going to want to put that in your body. So,
well, let me make a point as well. A lot of people, well, man, I eat that and it doesn't bother me. It feels fine. It's not that you ate it and feel bad on the spot. It's the cumulative effect it has over your lifetime.
Absolutely.
How many pennies does it take to fill up a jar? You know what I mean? Pretty soon that jar is going to be full.
Yeah.
I paid for my wedding invitations with pennies that have been collected for years. I'm not kidding. I seriously
Perfect.
did.
That's perfect. Yeah, and it didn't take you. It didn't take you a year. It took you several years, right?
Yeah. But it's the cumulative effect.
Yeah.
Unless you got an allergy, of course, then you're going to know about it almost immediately. Yeah. But it almost seems like there's like
like things that have been put out there that are myths or misconceptions or just all out lies. And some of them, the lies are not necessarily on purpose. Some of them definitely are, but some of them are just, hey, this is supposed to be good for you, and it's made out of whole wheat, and all everybody has to do is say it's made out of whole wheat, and it's just wholesale. It's good for you. That's fine for you. So I think that it's going to take a lot of deprogramming is what's kind of facing our current problems.
Certainly,
right now.
we're being programmed every time we watch television. One of my favorite. I mean, there's lots of them that I sit and shake my head at. But one of my favorite one, and I'm not gonna name the brand, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Is they show this box that has all this wonderful stuff that's supposed to be good for you on it, but yet it shows this person biting into this candy bar thing and pulling nougat out.
Yeah.
Because they're so distraught because all they have to eat is sticks and this is your escape, but it's okay because it's got this in it.
It's got oats and it's got wheat and it's got
Now-
honey instead of sugar.
To the unwary shopper, they're probably thinking that they're buying something that's this is okay. This
Sure.
is good. No, it's not. It's a candy bar.
It's packaged
with
yeah.
something. A healthy term on the box.
It's basically a candy bar that's got healthy buzzwords all over
You
it.
gotta be a label reader, man. You gotta educate yourself. We all work for a living. You wouldn't be able to make that money if you didn't educate yourself on what you need to do
Yeah.
to be valuable to that people. Well, be valuable to yourself, man. Take responsibility and spend a little bit of time out of your life to educate yourself on what it is you're putting in your body.
Yeah. Well,
Because it's a lot cheaper than them doctor bills
Yes.
down the road.
Well, and that's a lot of things that I hear. Oh, it's so expensive. It's so expensive. That's like the first thing out of anybody's mouth. I buy these things because it's so expensive to eat healthy. Think about it. It's expensive now, but what you're eating now is going to be 20 times more expensive when you get pre-diabetes, diabetes, or
Yeah.
Or you got the woman in the supermarket with the $5 coffee, the cappuccino.
yeah, just
You know what I mean? Like, well, those organic vegetables, they're like 40 cents more than
Yes.
the regular ones.
yeah, slurp.
What are you thinking,
Yeah.
lady?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think people have allowed themselves to become so incredibly busy that they don't take the time that's necessary to nourish themselves in their own kitchen.
Yes.
And
agreed.
I think that if people would, it's all about what you value, and we don't tend to think long term so much in our society anymore.
Well, honestly, I blame this.
Yes,
this is
absolutely.
instantaneous. You can get instant gratification. You can get
Yep.
You can go to the bathroom and sit there and you can surf on there until your legs go numb
or
and
you
you're
get
like,
hemorrhoids.
right.
People I know.
But you sit there.
Yes, but you can get relief on this.
Yeah, I got a solution for that. But seriously, this has been advertised to help us in so many different ways, and all we do, and me included, I'm pointing 3 fingers back at myself when I'm pointing fingers at this. But that's supposed to be like your smartphone is supposed to help you do this, and it's supposed to save time doing that. And all we do now, I just go and look around. All you do is you just see people. It's that instant gratification. They get an instant little chuckle here, or that's cute there, and
Nobody's looking at each other.
Nobody's looking at each other, and everybody seems to be so busy, but all I do is look around and just see people surfing on their stupid damn phone all the time. I'm like, hey, how about we actually just kind of, and I know this isn't exactly about dieting necessarily, but seriously, for one day, just try it for one day. Take in half as much smartphone time. If you're on your phone for 5 hours a day, just try cutting it down to 2 hours. Just give it a shot. See if you can do it, because I guarantee you're going to have a hard time doing it, because I have a hard time doing it. It's ridiculous.
Do you remember last week we were talking about you never see kids at the park anymore or walking down the street or
doing anything.
Yeah, we're all old enough to remember being on bicycles and stuff before the age of the cell phone and all this kind of thing. We were out there talking the other day about, there's nothing going on in this town anymore. There's anybody on the streets. We had a power outage.
I bet you there was a crap ton of people out in the streets.
For about 3 hours, and next thing you know, there are kids in the park. There are people running up and down the streets and doing stuff. And I'm going, look at this.
I just had a brilliant idea. I know what the solution is then. mandatory roaming power outages where you don't know when you're going to get it, but you're going to get it at least once a month, and it's going to be for like 8 hours, and you just have to go outside.
It's reflection day.
Yeah. So, but before you do something really weird and extreme like that, just decide to do for yourself. Just unplug from the interwebs for a little while and go check out. I mean, obviously finish watching this show first and then go unplug yourself from the show or from whatever you got going on, and just,
go in the kitchen and cook something from scratch.
Yeah, and honestly, I have so many friends, and I'm in my early 30s, and I have friends of mine that are in my age group, below my age group, a little bit above my age group. It's weird to ask them, so, what's your grocery bill like, or what's your, what do you buy on a regular basis? And they're like, grocery bill? Buy on a regular basis? I'm like, yeah, what do you cook for yourself? Arby's cooks for me. What? Mm-hmm. Like so many people I know just don't know how to cook. I have my best friend. He's getting married here in a few, and he is going to get married not knowing how to cook a single thing. He was up here the other day asking me how to grill on the barbecue the other day because he just got himself a barbecue. I was like, how could you be this? You're a year older than I am, and you don't know how to cook a single meal? Like, you just can't do it. And she can't do it. She can cook like 4 meals, so she's not that better at much.
That right there is going to be a marriage that works out, man, because they're going to be so dependent.
Yeah, they're going to be dependent on each other.
I can't live alone. I'll starve to death.
But I've gone from, and I was like that, and then I turned. Let's see here. Oh, and then I turned 20 and grew up. But but I mean, I was like that when I was young and dumb, and now. I don't think there's anything that I haven't thought of and was just like, oh, either I'll go and look it up on the internet, or I'll just buy some ingredients and wing it. And if it doesn't turn out good, oh darn, I guess I'll try again next time.
Have to adjust.
I tried making myself my own bread the other day. It turned out awful. It was disgusting. I had to throw it all away. But I tried at least. By the way, you can't make your own bread out of coconut flour. Doesn't make good bread.
No.
I learned that the hard way. So I have a whole crap ton of coconut flour that I'm going to use for like battering fish or something. It'll be good. But
I had this conversation this morning about cooking your own food because once again, I'm not mentioning names or nothing, but the person we work out with in the morning, mm-hmm. She says, well, how do you find the time to eat like this? Mm-hmm. I says, there are certain points in the day. I said, well, firstly,
you just build it into
who decided
your day?
That we had to have 3 meals a day? It's really not necessary. What you need to do is have all the proper nutrients it takes you to get through the day.
Yeah.
You don't have to cram calories in. You need to cram nutrition in.
Right.
I said, basically, if it comes in a box or a package or frozen or something like that, don't get it. Go to the produce department, go to the meat department, get stuff fresh. Well, where do you find the time to cook it? I go, look, the reason you're eating that packaged food is because you get off of work, you come home, you throw it in the microwave to buy yourself more time. And what do you do with the time?
Sit there and wait for
the iPhone.
Yeah.
Yep. Why don't you reallocate that time to making a meal that's going to nourish your body?
Yes.
But we don't have enough time to like cook for the week and stuff. I says, well, then on Saturday, rather than sitting there in front of the television or playing games or whatever, why don't you make 2 or 3 meals and portion them out and put them in the freezer?
Yeah, or
you're not exactly getting the biggest nutritional bang by freezing it, cooking it, and freezing it, but it's a whole lot better than that in the box.
Yeah,
and at least then you've got your meal that you just throw in a pan, heat it up, and eat it. And it was like, wow, I didn't really think about it.
Well, and it's so sad that. It's such a simple thing for people that have been doing it for a while, but you say something like that, and it's literally like you just gave them a piece of like informational gold. They're like, oh, I never even thought of that. Like, how could you not think of that? If you're doing nothing, or if you're just sitting around, or whatever the case is, take an hour out of your time and make yourself something and set it aside, or wake up an extra 50. Literally, it'll take you 15 minutes to cook yourself something healthy. 15 to 20 to 30 minutes.
Man,
it doesn't have to be fancy.
I can whip out a pretty good meal in 30 minutes.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like. And I think what they see is they see these culinary shows all over the show or
Right.
all over the TV or whatever, and that takes, this many ingredients, and you have to have fancy stuff from Italy and all this crap, and it takes you 45 minutes just to prep it, and then it takes another hour and a half to put it all together and make it just so. No, you don't have to do that crap. Just find some healthy ingredients, combine them together, find some things you like to do, and put it together and eat it. It's good for you. It's good. It's good for your brain. It's good for your brain to do something different.
Grow your own vegetables,
Yes.
man.
So,
my God. I have people come over to my house every now and then, and I'll go out in the backyard and I'll pick this marvelous salad and I'll put it there. Where did you get this?
right there,
Right there.
bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the back. I've
But
Never had a
people
tomato
don't-
that tastes like that.
People don't really value their health until they don't have their health.
Yes.
And then it's not that it's too late, but they feel so discouraged already.
You're already doing an uphill battle.
So value your
Yeah.
health. Begin
Do
by
it,
making
yeah.
really
Start
smart
now.
choices from the beginning, because whatever you value, that's what you're willing to spend your money on. That's what you're willing to spend your time on. And when you start to value that, then it makes it easier to make the choices to not do some of the other things that keep you too busy that aren't necessary.
And we are trying to stick to just nutrition, but nutrition is such a weird thing that it goes so much deeper into pretty much who you are as a person and what you value as a human being. Because like if you find yourself getting so busy that you are skirting your nutrition, if you're purposefully not treating your own body the way it needs to be treated, and you're making excuses for the reasons why you're not taking care of yourself, then perhaps one of the things that you have on your plate needs to go away, because obviously it's not that important, because your health, you ask anyone, hey, what's more important, what you're doing right there or your health? They'll say, oh, my health. Then why are you doing that instead of taking care of your body? So if you have so many things going on, maybe evaluate your life. Or if you got kids that have 18 things going on, maybe just be like, okay, maybe this summer we're going to do these 2 things and not all 5 of these things. Or just you find the priorities and prioritize accordingly. And obviously your health is going to be something that you're going to want to put high on that list. So
here's something too, man, and she made a good point. When you're deathly ill, you'll do anything to get you'll
that.
give doctors everything you own just to feel better. I know what I'm talking about here.
Mike's-
All you want is one more chance. Trust me, I'm not doing this again.
yeah, Mike's speaking from experience.
Some
here,
of
folks.
you will go into the diabetic category. Some of you will go into the cardio category. Some of you will go into kidney, livers, all these. There's so many things that can happen to you, but it's so easy to avoid.
The thing is, though, that some of these people who get these things, they think that I've been eating very healthy. But a lot of those people have been sucked into these scams
Yeah.
of fad diets that
Yes.
are killing them. As an example, long-term vegetarianism and veganism. That's a heart attack on a stick right there.
Now explain that for somebody that doesn't know what that means,
Okay.
because everybody, as soon as you say that, you're going to
Offend people,
you're going to
yes.
offend about 50% of people, and then the other 50% are going to be really confused because they automatically associate veganism with being really healthy. Like you
Clean running engine.
Yeah, you meet somebody, you're like, hey, I'm a vegan. You just assume, hey, you're healthy. So explain that and
Well,
please
first of all,
be ready to be pissed off people that are of the veganism.
That's
ilk.
why we're here.
That's why we're here.
First of all, I think there's benefit in short-term veganism or vegetarianism. If you find out that you're sick, something's wrong with your body,
Our mother,
slow
for
things
example.
down,
Yeah.
take a break, allow your body to eat foods that are simple for it to digest,
Yeah.
allow it to heal. But that's for short term.
Our mother
Because,
had a
She was told she had diabetes.
and she had a
so-
mild. We're not sure if she had a
Mild
stroke or
stroke.
not, but it was something like a stroke. And she was a vegan for about 6 months, and she pretty much corrected the problem by
Right, that's
by
what
diet.
helped her get over the hump, correct it, and now she's back to eating.
Remove
meat
the
again,
underlying
but-
issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you do that to allow your body a rest. But I've never met a long-term vegan or vegetarian who was healthy. And the reason is because they're not getting proper nutrition. There are certain vitamins and minerals that you can only get from animal protein.
Creatine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect example. And then Second of all, a lot of those people aren't getting an adequate amount of fat. We've been told in our society that fat is bad. Fat is bad. Fat's going to give you a heart attack.
We've heard that our whole life.
Yes. Not eating enough fat is what's going to give you a heart attack, because your heart is surrounded by a thick layer of saturated fat. Where does that come from?
Yeah.
Meat.
But wouldn't you agree that there are bad fats and
Absolutely.
good fats?
Right.
Absolutely.
That's the key. This is the whole key that she's about to get to right here, because we've already talked about this last week.
Are the bad fats in foods that you could have eaten 200 years ago?
I don't think so.
No. The bad fats are in your processed foods.
Yeah.
Your trans fats and
yeah.
all. Okay, so if you started eating clean, healthy meats that,
Farm
they're
raised.
organic,
Yeah.
no pesticides, no antibiotics.
I could go off a half hour on that subject.
Yeah.
And not corn-fed.
Yes.
Okay. If you start eating meats like that, and maybe not eating as much meat if you've been a meat eater, and then start eating lots of avocado and olives and olive oil and coconut oil and coconut milk and anything coconut.
Yeah.
You're going to start getting those healthy fats in you. Children who are deprived of a high-fat diet have learning disabilities because their brains require enormous amounts of fat. Our brains as adults also require enormous amounts of fat. If you compare the proportion of the weight of your brain to the weight of the rest of your body, your brain takes an obscene amount of fat to do what it has to do. And so people who put their children on low-fat diets, you are harming them long-term, not just physically in their health, but also mentally.
Right.
And so...
And don't be misinformed or don't mishear what she's saying. Don't go out and feed. Don't go out and cram.
Don't go to McDonald's.
Don't cram McDonald's and Arby's down their throats.
That's not what we're talking
talking
about.
clean, healthy. There's such a thing as healthy fats. You're supposed to have a certain amount of fats in your diet, and there's a healthy type of fat that you need to have.
Just real quick to speak to the whole don't put your children on low-calorie diets. I agree with that. Why don't you kick up their activity levels?
Yes.
I think that's the underlying problem.
Yeah, I think
here.
so too.
When I was a kid, we would see who could run to the top of the hill. You don't see that occurring these days.
No. We'll get into a Twitter argument about a game that doesn't exist in real life.
Who could swim all the way across the lake without stopping?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so fat is very, very, very important for good quality health. And people think, well, I'm going to lose weight, so I'm going to go on a low-fat diet. I'll tell you right now, I had to do some of this paleo diet that we've been talking about for an autoimmune issue for myself. I did this only for the health purposes. I did not set out to lose weight. I didn't know I was going to. I was eating a high-fat diet. And I dropped 3 pant sizes in 2 months.
Wow.
And that was a high-fat diet.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me. And, do the research yourself. You can't convince people that, well, I can eat all this fat and I'm going to lose weight. People don't buy it because they've been brainwashed that fat makes you fat. No, you know what makes you fat? Sugar and grain makes you fat.
Sugar and gluten. So we were talking earlier, and she asked me if there's anything that she could come prepared for, and I said, well, I mean, it would be kind of. I mentioned it just a little bit earlier. There are definite myths, there's misconceptions, and there are all-out lies. And I asked her, I was like, well, I mean, you could talk about some misconceptions and some lies and some mistruths or whatever that we have associated with our diets. I think that's one of the biggest ones right there. I don't know if that falls under misconception or all-out lie, but somewhere in there, somewhere between lie and misconception.
Yeah, it's a little both.
Yeah, that fat will make you fat. It's bad fat and sugar is gonna make you fat. So have the healthy fats. Honestly, if you want to have an entire avocado on your whatever your salad or
I will never give up butter on my oatmeal. Never. I won't do it.
Butter, but how often do you have oatmeal?
Every morning.
Do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Grab yourself some organic butter and go.
I juice a bunch of fresh vegetables. Bam! I have a single cup serving of steel cut-ups.
Mm.
With butter,
with
Yeah.
butter. Organic. Get it organic.
And it is. It's organic butter.
So, did you come prepared with any other lies or misconceptions, or was the fat will make you fat one your main one that you had?
Well, I think that's just one that's crammed down people's throat everywhere that they turn. And you know, statistics are showing that low-fat diets are causing people heart failure. Your heart, like I said, your heart has a thick coating of saturated fat around it. And that's what protects it. When your heart goes into, or your body, you go into a stressful situation, your body, your heart goes towards that fat to pull some of that fat in to help it deal with those high stress situations. If you're eating a low fat diet, you're not eating any meat whatsoever, you know, you're depriving your heart of that thing that's going to be there in that moment that you don't expect. That high stress situation where your body, you know, everybody's experienced that.
You only need it once in your life.
Yeah.
You need it, yeah.
You need it.
You know, and so, you know, we need those saturated fats, but it's got to be, you know, the healthy stuff. Could you find that 200, 300 years ago? Eat it.
Yeah.
You know, that's real food.
You know, and I was having that same conversation with the same person I was talking about earlier this morning, and I was saying, you know, people get overweight, they get out of shape, and then as a recourse, they get depressed. And then depression gets in the way of them trying to do something about it because they're so down on themselves. And I was bringing up the point, I'm going, don't be down on yourself. Be angry at them because you're doing exactly what they have set up for you to do. You're in a trap. You just haven't found the way out yet. And I'm here to tell you how to get out of this trap. You have to be aware
of what's going on.
Ask yourself these questions. Why do the same people that own the farms make pharmaceuticals?
Yes. I was just going to say that.
Ask
I was going to
yourself
ask you, why do we have the Food and Drug Administration?
No, it doesn't make any sense, actually.
Here's your food, and after you eat, here's your drug.
Yeah. So
it's a vicious circle. And you know what? And if you look at it like a machine, every machine needs fuel. The medical machine needs fuel. The farm machine needs fuel. You know what I mean? The grocery stores, they need to turn over so much product, and it's a big vicious circle. I was watching a film one time. I was talking about diet, and the man made this quote. He says, "Good health makes good sense, but it doesn't make good money."
Yeah. That's
and
true.
It was that moment that it clicked for me, and I went, bastards.
Yeah.
What made it really go home for me is, as everybody else knows, I used to drive truck, and I used to haul meat sometimes. And we would have to go to the packing plants to pick up meat, and it would turn your stomach to know some of the meat that they're putting into products that you don't really know is going in. But I got curious because I'm watching this hideous operation, and it was hideous. And you have to drive in through the feedlots. And I got in there, and I had to wait because there were other trucks in front of me, but there was a guy there that had come out to have lunch. So I sat down, and I started asking him about it, and he runs through it with me. He goes, well, they come in off the trucks. He goes, the guy that's been raising them has injected them with hormones, and he's injected them with antibiotics because it doesn't pay for his cattle to get sick and die. Plus, he gets paid by the pound, so he injects them with hormones, so they
bulk up.
He says, plus it increases the fat in the meat, which gives it that nice marble thing that everybody looks for, right?
And they feed it corn.
Then it comes to the feedlot. He says, then we inject it with acid. He says, and what that does is it irritates all the flesh in the cow. He says, now what happens when your flesh gets irritated? It swells. Why does it swell? Because your body is pushing moisture in there. He says, so we inject them with acid, we feed them corn and water as much as they can hold. He says, look at these ones are getting ready to come in now, come out of this into the feedlot, and they can barely stand up. They're just huge. And he says, and then we run them into the processing plant. He says, now their body weight is 15 to 20% more than it was when we got in here. Jeez. And he says, when you pull up over there, go to door 3, I'll meet you over there and I'll show you around in here. Really cool. So I walked around in there, and I saw them come in, and they're killing these cows, man, and before they're dead, they're putting the hooks in them and running them up, and woof, everything comes out. I mean, It
gruesome task.
man, I'm gonna tell you what.
You ate a cheeseburger afterwards, right?
It hurt my soul to watch this, man. And I mean, that cow was processed in minutes in there. And then we picked up our load of salivary glands to go down to the sausage plant down in Texas.
Salivary glands.
Salivary glands. And then they took all the bones and everything and ground it up into what they called a slurry.
That sounds good.
And that went to the dog food place.
I thought you were going to say that went to the hot dog place.
Well, you know what? I never delivered anything to a hot dog place, but I could just imagine.
So the bones get ground up and get put into our dog food.
Yeah, well, you read on the dog food thing, bone meal.
Goody.
Oh, that's bone meal.
Goody.
Your dogs are eating the same thing that you're eating. Hormones, acids, antibiotics are all in this meat. They're fed corn.
Which cows don't eat corn.
That's not natural
naturally.
food for them.
Well, it's not really a food substance anymore anyway, is it?
They've evolved to eat grass. And drink. They're a grazing animal.
Yeah.
If you ever get an opportunity to go to a packing plant, go, because it will open your eyes. Don't go. Now, I don't want to go because I won't have a steak. Wouldn't it be better to know what that steak is?
And what happened to it to get there?
And if you're okay with it, go ahead and have the steak.
Yeah. Me and Mike were talking recently. My parents gave me a refrigerator that was just sitting up at my grandma's place doing nothing. So I was actually just about to get on Craigslist and look for a second refrigerator to keep beverages and whatever extra meats and whatnot. So now that I have a spare freezer space, I actually want to go in with somebody and get half of a cow from a farmer.
I checked with Devin. I'll fill you in on that.
Okay,
later.
perfect, excellent. I'm hoping that means that's good news then.
Devin's our butcher.
Yeah, we have our own butcher, and he's a good friend of ours, and he brings us sausage that he's made out of really good cuts of meat.
And just real quick, after what I just explained, this is why I get angry when people go, "Oh my God, you shoot elk?"
Oh yeah.
I absolutely do.
Yeah. If you had any idea where that hamburger helper came from,
and I'd feed it to you, and you'd never know the difference.
Yeah. So any other food myths that you can think of off the top of your head, there, sister?
About 100.
Yeah.
But if we want to kind of continue what we were talking about, maybe with fats, even or even meat.
Yeah.
A lot of people are really into this book called The China Study, and they've made a documentary called Forks Over Knives.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Which they, kind of went off of this concept of the China Study, trying to really push people into vegetarianism, and meat is bad, and meat is making you sick, and meat is killing you. And I've read several reports from people who are, I think they're called statisticians,
yes.
Where they take all the data and they make sense of it for you, so you understand statistically what the information means. And
because they wouldn't want you to have the raw data.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so
I've
read some reports of some statisticians who went and took this China study, who weren't really necessarily into healthy foods and stuff. They didn't really care about that. They just
wanted to see
number geeks.
Yeah, wanted to see the real results.
And they took all the information that was given in there, and they did their own number crunching, and they said they're not interpreting this for you accurately. They have an agenda. This is what they're trying to tell you. So, it's unfortunate because we trust what we read and print.
Yeah, we really
if you go
do.
looking for something, you'll find it.
Exactly.
Yes, it's true. It's
But we need to eat real food, whole, real food, and if we would do that, we wouldn't fall prey to these silly fad diets.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we probably don't have time to go into this today, but we have a problem, like you've mentioned already, Nathan, about the wheat. The wheat is not what it was 200 years ago.
Yeah.
Thus, we have a problem with that today, even though it's a real food.
Yeah.
It's been altered to the point that humans can't really handle it anymore. Dairy, that's a whole nother issue. It used to be fine. People didn't have a problem with it. There wasn't dairy allergies and sicknesses. But today, things aren't the same as they were back
Yeah.
then. They're not using the same kind of cows, so the milk doesn't have the same molecular structure. Plus all the things that we just talked about, hormones,
yeah.
antibiotics,
They're
and
injected
this
with all
stuff.
kinds of stuff to keep them producing.
homogenization and
Yeah.
pasteurization, and
Yeah, which kills
Yeah.
all the enzymes and everything else
It's
in there.
dead food
that's-
now.
Yeah, so 3 things. 50 years ago, how many people had a wheat allergy? How many people were lactose intolerant? And how many people had a peanut allergy? I would actually say within the last 15 years that the peanut allergy thing has actually become a thing. When I was a kid, there was no such thing. Now, you're not even allowed to send your child to school with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's like, it's not illegal, but you get a letter sent home with you and you get in big trouble. 15 years ago, I was a child 15 years ago. Actually, that's not true. I was a child 20 years ago. Oh, my day's ruined. 20 years ago, though.
Hey, it
that
gets
was
better. Just keep living.
woohoo. So 20 years ago, that was not a thing. I didn't know a single person around me. There was not a subject matter at the PTA meetings. There was no such thing as peanut allergies, and now you're not even allowed to send your kid to school with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. What is up with that? Also, I don't even think I'd heard of gluten until about 5 years ago.
I wasn't eating gluten.
Yeah, well, I mean, but so think about, just ask those 3 things. How many people, when you were a child, did you know that had a gluten allergy or that were lactose intolerant or whatever? It's not a coincidence, folks. It's not. It's something that's happening, and it's slowly happening, and it's happening so slowly that they're actually able to develop lies and misconceptions around what's going on and why it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll put you on a special diet to eliminate the people that are sick to it, but keep as many people on it still as possible. Just keep them coming.
See, and I believe it that you want clean food, you want raw food whenever it's reasonable to do so. But physical activity, I think, is the biggest missing piece of the puzzle. I think that is the main killer. If you look, take for instance swimmers. You know what I mean? They're preparing for the games and stuff. These guys consume huge amounts.
8,000 calories, something like that
And
a
if
day.
you look
It's
at what
ridiculous.
they're eating, man, they're eating vegetables and meat, and then they go, bam, they burn that stuff off.
Yeah.
And
And
they're
they don't
eating-
make excuse for not ever exercising.
Yes. Yeah.
We have 100 excuses up our sleeves to pull out any day of the week for not exercising.
oh yeah, there's always an excuse.
Well, and you know what I've found
But-
that's really interesting? People that people get offended at you for working out. I've
Yes.
found that to be a new interesting little
What?
fad. They're like, well, it's not.
If they're not.
If they're not and they want to be, they get. It's not that they're offended.
look at him. He
Yes,
thinks
they try to put some sort of stigma on you, like look at him. He thinks he's better than everyone. I'm just trying to work out, man. Stop putting your crap on me.
I hate
Go-
him. He's all sweaty.
Yeah, run along and you get off your ass and go do something. Don't put it on me. I'm doing something for myself. This
But-
doesn't even have anything to do with you.
If you do make an excuse not to work out today, just remember you don't get that day back.
That's right.
Yeah.
That is
And
true.
working out doesn't have to be going to the gym, obviously.
No.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be the super high intensity either. In fact, just going out and walking has tremendously huge benefits for people.
And it's so sad that we can't even find the time to go do that because we have so many excuses of, oh, I've got to go do this and I got to go pick up Billy from that and I got to go do this and I got to run there and I got to run there, and by the time I'm done with all that, pardon me, by the time I'm done with all that, it's 9:30 at night and now it's too dangerous to go for a walk.
Okay, so here's my excuse
Rebuttal
buster.
to this?
Excuse
Okay.
buster.
Perfect.
I live in Arizona.
Yes.
It's bloody hot there right now.
Yeah, it's
And
120
so-
out right now.
Our family last month, it's kind of getting a little warm for this now to do this here now, but last month it'd be too hot during the daytime. Nobody wanted to go out unless we were swimming, which is good exercise too, but we would go out as a family after the sun went down. My husband and I would take our 2 teenage kids and say, we're going for a walk. Put on shoes or don't, doesn't matter to us.
Yeah.
We're going to go for a walk through the neighborhood, and we'd wait until it got dark outside and go for a walk in the dark. You know, especially when you do that when there's a bright moon out, that's really fun.
Sure.
And so Don't make
Just- yeah,
excuses.
and
Get your kids out there.
Put
and go with you.
on put on something reflective. Put on something white. Put a flashlight in your pocket. And if you really
Carry
feel
rocks.
yeah, if you really feel the need, throw a taser or something small and compact into your pocket and go do something active. Get off your ass.
Or even better than that, you don't even have to leave your house. Get a set of arcade
There you
clubs
go. Yes, we actually Mike and I both have a gym in our own houses.
ready for you to use
That's right.
whenever you like. So
Contact us at
right
Rosewater
there.
Kinetics, Rosewater Fitness, Rosewater Furniture at hotmail.com, RK Fitness Hour at gmail.com. Get a hold of us and let us know what your particular fitness needs are. We can make pretty much anything you want, if anything the way you want it to look. Mike can put some airbrushing on it. We'll go ahead and say there's probably a small caveat to that. 2 caveats to that. It'll be a little bit more expensive, and it'll be depend on what it is. But he can do almost anything that anything he's put his brain to. I've seen him do some pretty intricate stuff. Football season's coming up. I saw him do a Seattle Seahawks themed club once. It was pretty sweet. I've seen him do the Ultimate Warrior. So all you wrestling fans,
I
out
never
there,
did the Ultimate Warrior, man.
Well, no, he did the logo for it though. So
yeah,
he did that. So, and yeah, Mike does some really cool airbrushing. We can do natural wood finishes. We make some really pretty good looking stuff out of maple and out of red fir, and we make some good stuff.
Well, we are furniture builders first and foremost, and we bring that skill to these clubs. The reason we do that is because we want you to put it in your living room. We want it to be beautiful enough for you to display in the main room where you are.
Because you
in
can't
your
help.
home.
You can't help
Because
but do this and look
that's
it up
right.
and look it over, and next thing you know, you're
You
swinging
don't
it around.
have to dedicate a room to a treadmill,
Yeah.
which is
I keep
basically
them in my living room, and people come in and they always pick them up
Yeah.
and mess around with them, and then they're like, "What are these?"
but they do because they got handles, so you
Yeah.
want to
Yes.
reach
You
out.
want to
Yeah.
you want to hold them, yeah.
And
And I've come so far as my abilities since I made your Christmas ones a couple, 2 years ago now.
two or three.
So
yeah.
those were some of my first. I think those were my first 10 or so, under 10 of. So I've actually gotten a lot better at it now. So I should make you a new set now.
And just a heads up, we've actually got a customer who's decided to order some Persian meals. So
Yes.
RK is going to be coming out with a line of Persian meals, and we're going to start making, or at least if we can make it work out to where it's to the level of quality that we want to put something out, we're going to start making some gadas as well.
Yeah, if we can. The thing with Gadas though is the length of them, because they're like longer than our lathe can handle. They're like 50 inches or something like that. They're pretty long. So we'll do some engineering though and figure it out.
Yeah, there's some engineering things to work out, but I think we can do it.
Mm-hmm. So be watching for some Gadas. Be watching. We can now make jories. Mike's gotten really good at those. I've still got to try my hand at it, but I'm going to be trying some jories here pretty soon. So
The last set came out within 0.01
Yes,
ounces of
of
one
each
another
other, yeah.
without adjustment.
Yes. So Mike's getting really good at it, and I've got to try my hand at it here pretty soon too. So
Personally, I think it was just blind luck, but
yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah, the wood density wasn't. That's what usually happens to me is I get a piece of wood that's really dense and then not as dense, and then I'm trying to figure out what the hell went wrong. So, but yeah, if you're in the market for something that's a little bit different, or you want to do something that's easy, contact Rosewater Kinetics. We will get you hooked up with some fitness equipment that is beautiful to display in your home and very functional as well. So there are 2 great little 1-2 punches for you right there.
And for you heavy lifters out there with the sore elbows and the shoulders and the rest, this is a prehab exercise. Get that connective tissues built up.
Yep.
Get that cartilage in shape before you go throwing the heavy iron around.
Yeah.
Because if you blow an elbow, man, you ain't going to be lifting nothing till it heals up.
That's
so let's
right.
just do the work beforehand
Yeah.
so you don't have to have a hole in that workout routine.
We actually just had a dude say that he was almost next. I think he was like one slot away from being the next
he was
person.
next.
Was he next?
We would have been working on it right now.
And he actually contacted us and said, "Go ahead and put me back at the back of the list. I just blew out my wrist, and I'm not going to be swinging anything for about 2 months." I was like, "Well, that's perfect because if exactly to the back of the list. That'll be about 2 months from now. So also get a hold of us now because slots fill up fast, and we work at things about a week at a time. It takes from complete square stock to finished is about anywhere between 6 and 9 days. So
you're not going to get cookie cutter stuff here, folks.
You're going to get something very, very special, specific to your desires.
You may even get angry at us because we're taking a while to make it. Yes. But I'd rather have you angry at me because you're going to be happy when you get
Absolutely. It is going to be, and we're going to take the extra time special just for your order, just like we do every other order. So these aren't widgets on a shelf when you order them from us, but you will be happy with them.
The way we think about it is you may not always be the owners of these clubs, but we will always be the ones who made them.
Yes, exactly.
So we're not going to put our name on something that we don't think.
We intend to make these heirlooms for you, so keep that in mind as well. So we keep that in mind. So also when you're ordering that be thinking of someone that you want to give these to because they're going to last you a while. That's kind of how we want to make them. So that's our little 5-second pitch on going to Rosewater Kinetics. You can hit us up at rosewaterkinetics.com or hit us up on the email rosewaterfurniture@hotmail.com. So, sister, thank you for talking with us. Do you have any final thoughts before we get out of here? We've been talking for an hour already.
That's been quick. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I love talking about food and nutrition.
This is actually a pretty rare opportunity to have her in the same room as us. In the future, if you'd love to come back, I'd love to have you. But it will be via phone, right?
Yes, yeah. I was starting to doubt you even had a sister.
I told you.
Telling me all these years about your sister.
Yeah, we look a lot alike too, right?
So much.
I think I'm the milkman's kid. That's just because she's so much shorter than I am, and she's much older than I am.
Yeah, that's true too.
10 years.
9.
Oh yeah, that's right, 9. So sister, final thought. Do you have any final thoughts that you didn't get to, or anything that you can think of that you wanted to throw out there? Anything that you make? Do you make some stuff? Is there anything you make that we can? She makes her.
You want to know what I make?
She makes her own organic deodorant. I know that, and
it's working.
Is it working?
Now.
Yeah, yes. It's made out of. I know it's made out of beeswax and
no. Coconut oil and baking soda.
Yes, for the stench.
Arrowroot powder.
Okay.
Or you can use cornstarch. I just avoid corn.
Mm-hmm.
And I put a couple drops of tea tree oil in there.
Just to make it hippie-ish?
Well, no, because it helps with the bacterial nasties.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do that. I make kombucha. People think that's really creepy looking in my house.
It's so gross.
Oh, I love it.
She has,
I'm weird.
She has rotten tea in her cupboard at all times. Didn't you make your own lip gloss for a little while?
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah.
Yep. And I made mustache wax.
That's right, mustache wax.
I called it the Grizzly Adams mustache
wax. Nice.
Yeah.
So, you don't have a website or anything, but if we get any feedback on people that wants an all natural deodorant, and this okay, so tell about the gal that was having the showering 4 times a day and still having the issues or whatever.
My close friend, I've known her for almost 20 years, and ever since she was a teenager, she would just sweat profusely. She gets nervous super, super easy. And so she just sweats profusely, and she would have BO constantly. And she tried
clinical strength, everything
she could think of. And so I said, here, make some of this. She went home and made it. And she says, this is the first time in my life I made it through a whole day without having to wash my clothes at the end of the day because they smelled so bad.
Wow.
And so
crazy.
Coconut oil, baking soda, arrowroot powder, and then you can put any essential oil you want in there. I use tea tree oil.
Yeah.
I bet she was a fun date at the prom.
I bet you she was well, sometimes the people that have the problems are the ones that are the funnest.
No.
Yeah, no, we're good. I'm totally good. So thank you guys for tuning in. You can find this show, and I have a movie show, and I have a show where I just get together with my friends and BS for an hour, and we try to make as many jokes as we can about nothing. That's called the Time Spent Poorly podcast. The movie show is called Hanging from the Balcony. Also be watching for the gaming podcast to start back up whenever Adam gets around to starting that up on the weekend again. Derek has his own show that he's going to start. It's going to be based around comic books because he's opening up his own comic book store. Spoiler alert. So be watching for all of that. You can find us on youtube.com/timespentpoorly. You can find us at timespentpoorly.com. There's lots of entertainment that goes on regularly at the Time Spent Poorly Podcast Network. So you can find a lot of stuff to entertain you. But more importantly than that, make sure that you get yourself an opportunity at least once a week. And try for it more, but at least once a week, unplug, turn this off, turn whatever else it is that you're listening to off, and just go out into the world and go see what's out there and exercise, eat healthy foods, eat fat that's healthy for you. It is good for you. Trust me, it's okay. You can do that. So, and as always, if we have anything that we've mentioned and we find out that it's actually not true and we know that we've said it and it's not true, we'll come back and we'll let you know that we haven't entirely said something entirely accurate, and that hasn't happened yet, but we will tell you if we've messed up, and if it happens often, we'll make it a regular segment. We'll just call it Mike and Nathan screwed up or something like that. So thank you guys for listening. Final words, Mike?
If you're going to go out in the world and you're going to not bring your phone with you, bring a map. Don't get lost.
Yeah, do that.
We know how dependent we are on these things.
That's true.
And a pen and paper.
Yes.
And a flashlight.
Thank you.
But all BS aside, man, put the phone down and look into each other's eyes every now and then.
Yeah.
We're starting to lose that.
I think you're very, very true, or very accurate on that. Thank you very much, sister.
Thanks for having me.
For coming on, and I will look forward to giving you a phone call or two at least once a month, and we'll chit-chat some more about nutrition, whatever, myths, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching if you're watching, and find all of this at timespentpoorly.com. From now until the next time I talk to you, I'm out the door. Peace out.
Bye.
Oh, my. Hold on. Let me try that one more time. From now until the next time I talk to you, be good to you and yours. I'm out the door. Peace out.
Bye.